from FS Securities. We are an education and information firm on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. And every morning I go through what happened overnight on the global markets and try to forecast what we are likely to see on our market today and following today, as well as looking at commodities, foreign exchange and overseas markets. We also show you how investors and traders, and we make a difference between the two, how they can actually trade the markets. So I'll show you also what is hot, what is not, what you should hold and what you should fold. And if you have any particular feedback you would like to give us, so why don't you review it, rate it and share it. So we start by, we see what happened overnight. And here we've got the overseas market. On the Dow, on Wall Street, we've seen the market was up 236 points on top of the 115 points the day before. So you can see between the last two trading days, we've wiped out the losses 3 days ago. To 26,333 when we closed the market 3 days ago, and this morning we closed at 26,664. The S&P 500 0.7% up and the Nasdaq 1.5% up. In Europe, the Stoxx 50 index, which comprises most major European markets, was up 2.3%, wiping out the 1.1% loss the day before. But look, we've got two continuous trading losses, and that means we've got nearly 4% down, and we recovered about half of it in the last trading day. That's across all Europe. And you look at the FTSE in London was up 2.3%. Again, look at the losses the previous 2 days. The DAX in Germany 2.7% up. Again, not enough to wipe out the losses from the previous 2 days. So you can say overall, Europe was actually on the downside the last 3 days. All depends what happens tonight, of course. And we know that the American market will close higher, so we might see a follow-up in Europe tonight. In Japan, the Nikkei was up 2.2%. Again, 2 days of major losses. And in China, the Shanghai index was up 1.6%. And I think that takes you to a profitable 3 days combined. On our market yesterday, we were actually down just nearly 2 points. However, remember that our market yesterday opened much lower and managed to recover late in the afternoon, and we finished almost steady to where we opened. But look, the day before, 123 points lower. However, we can see over the last 3 days, we were on the downside. However, the futures this morning showing that the market most likely will open higher, 84 points. And if it does, then obviously we've got here 44 points up, 123 points down. We might actually be back to where we were 3 trading days at 6,051. Gold is steady from yesterday morning, 1,986. And silver, $24.42, better than the day before. Copper, again where we were 3 days ago. Brent oil on the upside, slightly up from yesterday morning. And West Texas crude oil, the American oil market, 41. That's actually again nearly $1 higher from the day before. And soybeans gained a bit of ground yesterday, 896, better than the previous 2 days. But I think a few weeks ago it was above 900 US per bushel. The Australian dollar, 61.2, slightly below yesterday morning. But the American basket of currencies were actually down, and you can see that the British pound against the US 1.3, almost the same. The euro versus the US 1.17, again very steady around that level. And our market, we've talking about the euro, 60.6, slightly below yesterday morning, and 54.5 British pence, and 106 New Zealand. Looking at the charts, this is actually the Dow Jones weekly, the Dow Jones daily. This is our gauge, our market gauge, the ASX 200. That's the weekly and that's the daily. So for the investor, we look at the monthly and the weekly. We need to have 5 indicators out of 8 in one direction, either up, down or sideways, and need to be that confirmed by the weekly. For the trader, the conservative trader, we look at the weekly and the daily. And then from all these indicators, the next slide will show you how we came up with certain forecast. What we do, we look at 5 out of 8 indicators. We can see here the parabolic stop and reverse, those red dots, when they are below the candles, that's bullish. And the stochastic, the blue line, is below the red line, that's bearish. And the non-week, that's the orange dotted line, is actually has crossed above the 21-week moving average, the black dotted line, that's bullish. The candles happen to be in the upper half of the Bollinger Bands. You've got 2 standard deviation up and 2 standard deviation down. It's interesting that this 2 standard deviation down is a lot greater than this 2 standard deviation upwards. Okay, so if we have 5 confirmation here, well, obviously we got 1 bullish, 1 bearish, 1 bullish. You need to have 5 out of 8. There are other indicators such as MACD, DMI. We look at volume. Here, for instance, the volume is up. When the candle is green and the volume is up, that's good. If it's not up or down, if it's down and the volume is up, that's bearish. And so we look at various combinations, and that need to be confirmed by the daily. And here you've got the parabolic stop and reverse on above the candles, that's bearish. Stochastic is bearish. The 9-day, the orange line above the black dotted line, that's bullish. However, it's actually contracting or converging towards the black line. That is not good. We like to see it going up away from the black line. So all these indicators will be seen in the next slide, where we've come up with the recommendations. And we do exactly the same thing for the ASX 200 and other stocks. We are actually here, that's the 50% retracement from the high and the low. If you look at the high and the low and you look at 50% of that, this is where we are. We climbed very quickly above the 38.2 Fibonacci retracement. It took only 2 weeks to get up, and now for several weeks we are stuck between the 50% retracement and the 61.8 retracement. So look, it looks like we are stuck in this area here for a number of weeks. The daily, we've got the parabolic stop and reverse have changed from being below to being above. That's bearish. Stochastic is bearish. The candles happen to be lower high, lower low. That candle is bearish. And you can see here the 9-day moving average has touched the 21-day moving average. That's not very positive. So we need to be cautious, even though we have nearly 85 points. If it happens on the upside when the market opens, I would not be surprised that by the end of the day, some of those gains would have actually evaporated in the afternoon. Okay, from what I told you, from the candles and the indicators on the various charts, we came up with the weekly. These don't change until the end of the week. These, as you can see, they change 2nd, 3rd and 4th. So on Friday morning, that's what we had. Yesterday morning, that's what we had. and today that's what we have. And this morning we say that if you're trading the American market, we've gone from neutral previous 2 days, 2 trading days. We are bullish for the investor. However, we are bearish for the short-term, very aggressive trader. However, for the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, we are bullish. Gold bullish, silver is bullish, coffee is bullish if you want to trade commodities. Australian dollar is bullish, American dollar is weak, the euro is bullish, and the British pound is bullish against the US. Okay, now looking at our sectors, the energy sector is bearish this morning, and the industrial sector is bearish this morning. Obviously, what happened yesterday on our market with 123 points lower, obviously the indicators have shifted quite a bit. That doesn't mean it doesn't change again tomorrow morning, so we just have to watch. However, what we have enough confidence is that for 2 days in a row, we've seen bearish for the industrial and the energy. So I would actually maintain that these two seem to be have taken already a trend, either down or up, in this case down. And that's the weekly, we don't change until the end of the week. Now looking at our stocks, we picked up a number of stocks here, and CIMIC, that's the old Leighton Holdings, across the board bearish, been bearish for a number of days. And Newcrest Mines bullish from all traders and investors. Suncorp bearish, Transurban bearish, TPG, the communication company, for the first time appears to be bearish across the board, and Woodside Petroleum. And you can see what happened yesterday on our market with 123. Yesterday the market was down 1.7 points, but the day before was 123 points lower. My apologies here. So you can see that if you combine the 2 days together, you know why those indicators have performed the way they are. For instance, if we take example, CIMIC, the old Leighton Holdings, 1.2% down on Friday, 2.1% down yesterday. Newcrest Mines, we have positive indicators, bullish indicators. Well, we were down 1.6% on Friday, and even though the market was slightly down yesterday, we were actually up 1.3%, still below the previous 2-day performance. Suncorp down 2 days in a row. Transurban, we were down nearly 2% and then recovered 0.9%, was still bearish. And Woodside Petroleum, 2.1% down on Friday, 0.2% up yesterday, not enough to actually wipe those losses. So that's how we actually come up with the indicators. The indicators obviously follow the price movement. Okay, volume, we like to look at volume. When the market is up and the volume is up, that's good. When the volume is up and the prices are down, that's bearish. Other cases, we are neutral. Well, for the last 2 days, we've seen more declines than advances on that line. 36% of all the stocks advanced, 26% declined. And we work out all these and we look at the volume and see if there is some relationship between the price movement as well as the volume. If you look at the last 5 days combined, we have more declines than advances. But the previous 5 days combined, we have more advances than declines. However, over the last 5-day periods, that's the last 5 days, the last 10 days, and so on, we can see that there are more declines than advances. Yesterday, Kogan showed, that's from the most active companies, had nearly 10% rise. Cochlear went up 4.6%. Saracen Mineral 3.8%. Evolution, Northern Star, Fortescue Metals, all mining companies. CSL was up 2.6%. This, by the way, all the slides will be put, this whole presentation will be put on the website shortly. so you can go back and review it at your own leisure time. If you're not a member of, if you haven't got subscription, you've got 15-day free trial, so you can always log in, get yourself a password, and you've got access to the full website for 15 days. Okay, now what we've got here in terms of the next one, announcement. Today at 11:30, the trade balance, we expect 8.8 billion, better than the performance of previous month, so we are in a positive trade balance. Also at 11:30, we're going to see the retail sales. They expect 2.4. If it's above 2.4, the market will be excited. If it's below 2.4, the market will not be so happy. Again, the cash rate at 2:30 today, nothing will change, still 0.25%. And it's important to see the RBA rate statement. Commodity prices at 4:30, that's after the market shuts. And now we look at what happened day before, with nothing coming out from the US tonight. Interesting. Yesterday, the manufacturing, we were actually above the 50, which is good. Inflation gauge, 0.9%, slightly higher inflation. ANZ job in advertisement, we were actually down 41.4% the month before, and there are more job advertisement from ANZ monitoring. Not as high as I would like it to be, but anyway, it's positive. China PMI positive. That's what really probably caused the reversal on our market yesterday afternoon. CPI, that's Switzerland, we're not really a bit concerned about that. US PMI in the US was below expected, that's not really good sign. Construction spending was down 0.7%, not good. Manufacturing prices slightly above what was expected. And total vehicle sales, they wanted to see 14 million, however there were 14.5 million. Okay, now we also scanned the market for stocks with extreme volumes. What I mean by extreme volumes, we look at the 50 moving average volume over 50 weeks and 50 days, the next slide, and we compare the 50-week moving average with the last week actual volume. So Sonic Healthcare, the price was slightly up 0.2%, not a great deal. However, the volume was 25% above the moving average. So if you look at the 50 weeks moving average, week after week after week, the average was 7.3 million transactions, while last week we've seen 9.2. However, the price hasn't really shifted a great deal. Nothing on the downside for the top 50. Now for the more aggressive traders, what we've got here, Infomedia only slightly up, but Nick Scali was 6.7% up last week, and the volume was 44% higher. Instead of 1.4 million transactions over 1 week, last week we had nearly 2 million transactions. Price up, volume up, that's good. LSA Gold, the volume, the price was up 1.1% and slightly up in the volume. And these are the downside. Monadelphous, last week, Monadelphous was down 7.8% and the volume was slightly up. Slightly up. Okay, now look at the daily. Nothing on the bullish side. On the downside, ANZ Bank. Yesterday, have a look at this. The price was down 4% and the volume was, instead of being 9.8 million average per day over the last 50 days, we have 12.1 million transactions yesterday. And this company's Center, the price was down nearly 6% and the volume was up 34% above the average. For the aggressive traders, these are shown, and you can see here Monadelphous yesterday was down 10.3%, and look at the volume. You trade this on CFD is going down, you'll make a lot of money. Webjet 7% down, 15% above the volume. So today we're going to look at Monadelphous, and we might actually enter a negative trade. All right, finally our disclaimer. Everything we say today for you is actually of general advice only. There is risk in the market, and we don't know your financial circumstances, we don't know your financial objectives, we don't know what sort of risk appetite you have. So please be careful and don't take everything we said to you that is going to guarantee you success. You have to be very wise and careful and talk to us or talk to your professional advisor. If you have any questions, all you have to do is ask. You can send me an email, george@fssecurities.com.au. FS stands for full service. FS Securities. If you text me or send me or you ring me on my mobile, 61, if you're ringing from overseas, 61 is the country code. You don't need the 0. 61 411 259526. Local people from Australia anywhere, text me or call me on 0411 259526. Finally, happy trading, and remember, enjoy yourself.